this time, it is my honor to recognize a friend. He kind of got me into this politics many years ago when I was asked to come out on a farm. I thought a farm had corn on it. I didn't know it was acres and acres and more acres of trees. And he walked me over that land for hours. I was exhausted. He went on, and I worked with him in his '88 campaign. He was subsequently elected in 1990 and had the honor to work in his office. I've regarded him as a friend, a leader of Western North Carolina, a man who embodies what it takes to represent good government, represent individual liberty, and represent capitalism. You might see a picture up here that you might recognize, and some of you are from Marion, North Carolina. I did look like that once. I have the honor to introduce our Congressman, former Congressman, Charles Taylor, my friend. Please stand.
Thank you for being so kind to invite me to briefly speak to you this morning. I see many, many friends that I've worked with over the years, the 16 years in Congress and many years before that. I also see some new people, and that's good because we're having a lot of new people coming, and I predict we'll have even more as this administration is clearly recognized for the very, very left positions that's going to take and try to lead America into. No, let's look at where we are today and what, how it evolved. In the 1966 or 2006 campaign, I think many of us failed to realize we were still very naive about press being open-minded and fair. That's changed. I think everyone realizes that there's an agenda from many of the media, and it's not in fairness or truth. It's an agenda to move the country very far to the left. I think that the exaggerations of conduct at the time, you know, in Congress, you always have problems. And with 435 people in the House and 100 in the Senate, there will be people who decide to do things that are not in America's best interest. We had a Republican representative that broke the law. He was quickly prosecuted. He was not tried. He was dismissed from his leadership early, and he went to prison. At the same time, you had a Democratic member who took on film, a $100,000 bribe from law enforcement, put $10,000 in his freezer, sent $1,000 of that to the 11th District Democratic candidate at that time, who, by the way, said he never got it. He served for 2 years throughout the 06 and the 08 campaign. He served in the Democratic Congress. He served as a member. He was paid. He did all his things he was supposed to be doing, and he was never prosecuted. He was defeated in the election in Louisiana in 08, but he still has not served today, even though all of the transgressions were on tape. The whole thing was there. A double standard is enacted in Washington. You're evolving into a situation where you have a president, and I wonder, with the situation we have with liberals, we feel that whether it's Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, you cannot have any experience in doing anything to get elected. In other words, if you look back, it's hard to imagine electing a president with almost a zero background in any kind of leadership or accomplishment outside of being elected president. And you have 2 presidents elected that way. Later, we may, in the future, want to see a longer period of service and a outline of conduct so we can make more accurate judgments in making elections. But what we have a situation now, and as we pointed out in '06, we pointed out in advertising as well as speeches that if the Congress went to the Democrats, they will elect Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. At that time, it was no one seemed to understand what that meant. That she would appoint the very left chairman that she has, and then she would try to push the country in the very left direction, which she has. Those people who we elected to Congress majority did exactly what we said they were going to do. They elected her Speaker. It's hard to, in the future, for them to sit back and say, I elected her Speaker knowing full well what she was going to do. She was entirely against what I think America still favors as the right to life. She was entirely against any military preparedness. She was very much for many of the very left, disgruntled organizations throughout the world. She would take the positions to weaken America, whether it be through the CIA, the military, or any other type of intelligence. And if I elect that person Speaker, then I'm responsible for that person. I can't turn around and say, but I'm a conservative, but I'm going to elect her Speaker, you see, and I'm not responsible for anything she does. When you consider your congressmen and candidates in 2010, remember that your congressman has elected her Speaker twice, voted 2 times. So all the things that you hear about, oh, I'm conservative, I'm against this, but I'm elected a person, the Speaker, who then it really doesn't matter what I do after that because the Speaker sets committees and so forth. It's like the person who murders his father and then tries to get mercy on the basis of being an orphan. Once you have committed the essential crime, then you're pretty much you're responsible for what happens thereafter. Now, what are we going to do in the future with our new knowledge? I think that, as we pointed out in the '06 campaign, that those policies that have been initiated, even then, would lead to more economic problems. I expect that the Obama administration is going to lead to more economic problems. If on Monday he says, I will not, the intelligence, we're not going to do anything about the future of the Bush administration. On Tuesday, he says, maybe we'll die to the Bush administration. I'll leave it up to my Attorney General. On Monday, he says, we're not going to nationalize the banks. Calm down. On Tuesday, they say, well, we may need to not nationalize the banks. On Monday, he says, we're not going to have any real taxes, only less than 1%. On Tuesday, he says, we're taxing everything that moves. In the aura of the first 6 months, you can get away with that. At some point, you're going to say, you can't trust someone who's trying to take both sides of an issue. You can't trust someone who then is in a position to merely say one thing and do another. The President of the United States has to make hard decisions. Members of Congress and the Senate have to make hard decisions. You will not always be popular making those hard decisions, but for the good of the country, you have to make those hard decisions. And at some point, tax cuts that our Congress and George Bush initiated after the 2001 attack will expire in 2010. it won't take an act of Congress for it to expire. It's going to expire. If you believe the Democrats are going to reenact or extend those